rotate in. Oh, no, that wasn't what you thought it was. I gotta go change my pants now. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight, I'm taking a look at the Bandai Figure-rise Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Saiyan Broly model kit. Now, as most of you know, I skip on the Figure-Arts Dragon Ball Z line, or even the Dragon Ball line. I'm interested, I dig a lot of the looks there, but for the price and how far behind I am, I don't know. I don't want to jump in there, spend a shitload of money, and then come back around and still prefer the model kits. I started with the model kits. I'm going to stick with the model kits, I think. I say that today. Tomorrow, I may be dropping a lot of money on figure arts. Looking at the package, it has a nice picture on the front just showing how big Broly is, and then the model kit. Those are the promotional pictures that we saw originally. On the side, again, with the promotional pictures, it shows the different faces, the different hands, against Vegeta and Goku. On the end, pretty picture of the model kit itself. On the other side, showing a bunch of the other models. I haven't built half of them. I haven't built 17 or 18. Still need to build Kid Buu, and I'm kind of interested in Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta. Kinda. A little bit. There's a bio for Broly, picture of the model kit, pictures from the cartoon. On the end, some warnings, some unreadables. Well, not so really. It actually translates it underneath. There's no fun in that. First off, you notice that the box is big as hell. Here it is with Android 18, which is pretty much a standard model kit box. I see this a bunch with the Star Wars line and the Dragon Ball line. Inside the box, you get the usual sprues, the usual parts. We see hair parts here. Face, muscles, big old boots. Pants, cloth, hips, legs, yeah, all in white. The red parts of the sash, cloth parts, I don't know, yeah. And then more skin tone parts. And then finally the instruction sheet. It doesn't look all that complicated. It looks just like a larger size of the standard model kits. But I am kind of worried about this overlaid part down over the hips. How much will that hinder movement? Or when you do give it movement, how much will that stick out? Like, it's just blah, stick straight out. I don't know. I'm not judging it before I actually get the figure together. Then back here on the first sprue, you can see the alternate faces for Vegeta and Goku. And the decal looks to be just the tongue and a couple of gold pieces. So, not bad there. I'm going to start building this. As always, I'm not going to show the whole build. I'm not going to show every little bit. If I run into a snag, I'll show that, or something complicated, or something trips me up, which isn't hard to do, really, when it comes down to it. I'll show that on camera, but not the whole actual build. And then we'll get to the review of the figure afterwards. Okay, getting the head together, not too bad, but man, it's like crushing a pineapple in your hand, or something else prickly as hell, you know what I mean? Getting the hair together, or the head together, or the face back on, watch the sharp points, and they even warn you about that. Pay attention to sharp parts, be careful. Also, the two faces together, I went ahead and did the decals on the earrings here. It's a nice shiny gold. I'll probably go back and paint those at some point because it looks kind of rough with the decal going around the round earring itself. And it's the same way on the other head too. I don't know. I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. You know what I mean? But it did get rid of most of the decals except for one tongue. So, I'm done with decals. I'm happy with that. Okay, torso. There's a lot of weird stuff going on here. And I only say weird because it's different than what I'm used to with the other Dragon Ball model kits. There's extra pieces sticking out, like the butterfly coming out. This is an extra piece back here, kind of hiding the muscle, or well, adding more muscle to that piece of articulation. Right here is a separate piece that seems to rotate, I guess to close up the gap when you're using the abs. I like that the gem right here in the center of this necklace piece, it's a separate part, so it's clear, it's blue, it looks jewel-like, but man, getting it in there, it nearly got chunked. I tell you right now. Now this gold necklace part fits into grooves, and it seems to be pretty secure, but you may want to glue that in just to hold it on, because I'm afraid once the figure's all together and you're articulating it, that may want to try to pop out. Or maybe not. It seems fairly secure, so maybe it won't go anywhere. But another cool thing I noticed they do with the Dragon Ball model kits is they put all the same parts in the same sprue, at least for the most part. Yeah, building the torso, you had to get the gold, you had to get the jewel, but it was mostly skin colored, and it was mostly all in the same sprue. So now that I'm done with the torso, I can get this sprue the hell out of the way. Okay, sure the hands are in there, but I know they're there. I come back to them, or build them now out of order. Either way, but it's not a little piece here or a part here that you have to come back and find 6 steps later. I'm done with this sprue. Okay, even the shoulder ball is fairly intricate. I have this piece on top of the inner swivel right here, so it goes into the arm whenever you bring the shoulder up, I'm guessing. But there's also a muscle piece that goes on the outside of that to hide that, to make it look more like a shoulder bowl, if I can get the damn thing together. So it caps that off, you articulate it, and it goes inside. Yes, it opens up, but not near as much as if it did without that cap piece. Very nicely engineered. I'm always happy to see different colors or different parts be actual different parts. The bracer, the jewel or gem that's in the forearm, just looks great as a separate piece. It's not a decal, it's not painted on. Yeah, it completely works. But then you get down to the leg, and it feels like at first you're building the bulk of the leg, but this is actually just really the kneecap, because the joint is in the back of it, and you think, that kind of sucks. That's not going to work. Even when you essentially get the shin onto it, it feels like it's really loose. The only peg you have is down here at the bottom where the actual boot goes. So when you try to bend it like this, it feels awkward because the joint's in the back of the leg. But you have more to add up here, essentially the whole upper leg. And when you get that on, and then the boot on, it feels much more natural. Now there is some shimmy, there's some shake, but it doesn't feel near as loose once you get everything else on there. So don't be like me and kind of worry at first. Wait until you get the whole thing together before you start thinking, this feels flimsy. Okay, so the waist isn't as bad as I thought it would be, but I worry a little bit about it. Of course, I worry a lot, apparently, as many times as I've said that during this part of the review. Well, I'm showing this now before I get the legs on because I'm afraid once I get the legs on, it'll be hard to show. But there's a ball joint on the front flap, and it kind of comes out, and then it hinges right there, so you can come down and around. Also have some side to side there. And then on the back, it's a hinge going down to another hinge. So there's a hinge in the ass that comes, oops, yeah, I'm kind of worried about that. Worried. There's that word again. Oh, well, maybe I didn't have it stuck all the way on there. It hinges down, and then it hinges out. So it seems to get out of the way, but we'll see how it goes once I get it on the figure. And of course, there's another gem right there. Just, I don't know why I'm so fascinated with those. And there we go, all built. And I have to say, I dig it. It's a beast of a figure, but it is cumbersome. My Dragon Ball Z Broly is cumbersome. No, yeah, no, yeah, no. Now, I like the sculpt. It's just, well, it being a model kit, it's broken up in places, and sometimes it's more apparent than others. Sometimes I can look at it and go, it's a kick-ass figure, and then sometimes, especially in poses, oh my god, why is that big-ass gap there or there? And I think it comes mostly into play in the shoulders and the kind of robe thing around his waist. But it being a hard plastic, I don't see how else they could have done this unless they just added cloth. Now, looking past the gappiness of it, the sculpt is pretty damn awesome, and it can move given its bulk. Like I always say with the model kits, each piece is a separate piece that you put on, so on the final part, each piece looks like an individual piece, because it is an individual piece. I especially love the little gemstones in the various parts, the belt, the boots, the gauntlets. That's just a nice little detail. And then up to the head, the hair, like I pointed out during the build, sharp as hell. It'll get you if you don't pay attention to it. And my pictures make this look a little bit yellow, but I assure you it is a greenish yellow. It's more, I look at it here in person, it's green. I look through the viewfinder, it looks yellow. But it has a kind of an ethereal feel to it. It's slightly translucent to give you that kind of cloudy feel. Cloudy? Yeah, pointy clouds. And then the face just looks mean. This one doesn't have pupils, so it wasn't a separate piece to give you color there. So it's a little bit blank, but at the same time, it's pretty badass. Now this figure is going to be a beast to keep on camera, so forgive me if it slides off to the side. But the skin tone is a little bit pale, and as you go back through the model kits, you'll notice that they started a little bit darker, and then they've gotten more pale. If you want a darker shade or you want more definition to the muscles, you add a wash here, and it'll give you a more realistic look for a cartoon. I don't know what I'm going for there. The hair looks great. It's just, yeah, I can't get enough of that. Like I said, the segments down here, you articulate it and it just breaks. And yeah, it's kind of Revel techy, so you have to kind of ignore that. But being as big and bulky as this figure is, I'm okay with it staying down most of the time. He's not going to get very dynamic from the waist down. But like I said a minute ago, it is quite cumbersome. If you're going for a pose, you're going to have to plan ahead. You're going to have to move everything up out of the way. You're going to have to get this up, get this moved up like this, and then go for the legs, which I think is my biggest problem here. If you can drop the legs down to get them into poses, but you gotta watch this piece right here if you're coming out further than, you know, or going action-y as possible. When you try to bring it up, it likes to snag, especially if you have it down like this, it likes to snag the inside of that, and you don't know what's going on because you can't see. Make sure to get that up out of the way. Also, if you drop down and rotate forward, for some reason, it is a bear to get, well, of course, it's going to do it right off the bat. A minute ago, I had him forward like this, and as I was bringing it back down, it just would not go down. It had that, I'm about to snap this the hell off feel to it. But again, just get in there, look at what's going on. Oh, I know exactly what was going on. The piece right there was snagging on the inside of the hip. See that sticking out right there? As I was trying to bring it, it was pushing against that. So, bring the leg up, rotate in. Oh, no, that wasn't what you thought it was. And for some reason, the shoulder is really tough to rotate forward and back. Now, because of how the articulation is in the shoulders, being higher up, whenever you rotate it up, first the shoulder's going to hit his neck muscle right there. You can bring it out a little bit and bring it on up, but you're going to gap it up at the bottom because the joint is higher up in the shoulder than it usually is because of the sheer massive size of that shoulder. I know that seems like a lot of griping for a piece that I actually do like, but you know I got to get all that out of the way. Now right here there is a rotating piece that gets out of the way if you want to bring this down, but it doesn't really ever get in the way even when it's fully, well, I pushed it too far. Right there, it doesn't really ever get in the way. So that rotating is cool, but it's not quite necessary. Now let's try to get through this articulation. There's a ball with a hinge at the top of the neck and then a hinge at the bottom of the neck. So he can bury his chin down in his little necklace thingy, but there's no up because of the hair. Well, his neck muscles and the hair. It's just straight forward. You have a hinge out. You also have a butterfly joint that goes about that far, and then that swivels around. Double hinge at the elbow, but because of the gauntlet, it kind of runs into itself. You get a little bit past 90. Ball joint at the wrist, rotates, a little bit of movement back and forth. There's a hinge ball joint, double ball joint going up into the torso. It gaps up really bad if you arc back, forward, side, side. Then you get to the hips. There's a drop down joint there, but like I said, get all this out of the way. We'll take a look at that. You can drop it down, you can rotate forward, back, and if you bring it all the way down and then up, you can get all the way out. You have some rotation there, but unless you get it all the way down, you're not going to get a lot. Single knee comes up to about 90. You have rotation at the ankle, and then for the hinge, you kind of have to shift forward and back. There's a ball joint going down, so the hinge kind of works like most neck joints do. You bring it back, you can get some back, but if you try to go forward from there, you're going to crash into the boot. You got to shift forward, and then you get a little bit more there. For accessories, Broly comes with 2 fists, and he comes with 2 open but tensed hands. And those are pretty easy to switch out. It's just a ball joint, pops out. The other one pops in, no problem at all. Broly comes with two faces. One is just a smirking face, like I'm about to unleash all kinds of shit on you. And then he comes with the screaming, using a lot of power, or you've pissed me off face. And to switch that out, you have to pop the top of the hair, and then the front of the face comes off. Well, the front of the face. The front of the head. The face itself comes off. You put the other face on, and then you get to this point. Whenever you're putting this on, watch out for all the points in the hair. And it's a little bit hard to get the peg. And it's a little bit tough to get this peg that's on top of the face into the hair while lining everything else up. You got to kind of find the right place to push, and that closes up the gap right there. And then he also comes with alternate faces for your model kit Goku and Vegeta. It's them in pain, or getting busted in the face, or just, we're getting our asses kicked here. To switch Vegeta, it's pretty easy because you don't have to remove any hair. You just pop that off, and you pop on the new face. It looks great. No gaps, no seams, and the skin tone seems to match here. On Goku, you pull off his front hairpiece and then the face, and pop the new face on. And I don't know if it's as bad on camera. It looks a little bit more pale than his regular skin tone. But you pop the new face on, pop his hair on, and for some reason it feels like it doesn't want to go all the way on because his hair doesn't go on as secure as it does with his normal face. But again, it looks great. For comparison, here he is with the model kit Vegeta and the model kit Goku. You can see the differences in the skin tones between the three. Again, through my viewfinder, Broly looks pale as hell. He's got a little bit skin tone to him, and then Goku is pretty dark. When I first built the model kit Cell, I was impressed with his size. It's a fairly tall figure, but now it's like, Cell who? And then again, I don't know a lot about the figure arts line, but I've heard the Broly there was hard to get. He's expensive now. If you wanted to get the model kit Broly to go with your figure arts collection, here's what he looks like with the Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Vegeta. It's the only figure arts figure I have from the Dragon Ball line. It seems a little bit small, but people have said there's a better Vegeta, and there's other figures with better articulation and size. But I just love the blue hair here, and then the black costume, or gray, whatever. So at the end of the day, I do like the kit. It adds something to my Dragon Ball Z shelf. And like most of these model kits, it makes me want to go out there and find out more about the character, or watch the episode or movie that he was in. And that's a sign of a good toy. Sure, it's gappy. Sure, it's segmented up. Sure, it's a little bit difficult to maneuver. Maneuver? The figure is very cumbersome. You have to plan your attack whenever you want him to attack. You have to move up the waist, hangy downy, clothy thingies. You have to move the arms out of the way. You have to get them rotated in. You got to watch out not to stab yourself with his head. And then you hit that pose, you have to close everything back down. You have to bring his arms back down. You have to bring his head back down. You have to bring the red hangy down back down and close the gaps as well. You have to try. But it does look good once you get it all together. And again, from what I've heard, it's much better to pay the $35, $40 for this than it is whatever the SH Figure Arts is going for now. And then if you dig the model kits, you can throw a wash on here. You can paint it whatever color you want. Bring the skin tones all together. Just whatever you want to do. It's a model kit. You're supposed to put some more work into it. So yeah, some downs, but there's also some ups. I don't know if it's a down or up of me attempting to put this on the shelf. I've got to make room for this one. He takes up a lot of real estate. But in the long run, worth it. Looks amazing. I dig the green of the hair especially. And then the gold, and then, of course, the gems in the gold parts. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.